Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name's Jacob, and for a long time I thought Miranda and I were solid. We met in the sophomore year of college. I was in trade school, learning the ropes of landscape design and irrigation systems. Miranda was a business major, sharp, ambitious, always 5 steps ahead in every conversation. I remember the first time I saw her. She was leading some group presentation in a white blouse and red lipstick like she owned the place. I was there fixing a busted projector mount for extra credit. Afterward, she actually came over and thanked me for saving their presentation. Most girls would have walked right past, but she noticed me. We got coffee the next day, and that turned into dinner. She liked that I was grounded. I liked that she had fire. We came from different worlds, but somehow we met in the middle. While her classmates chased internships at agencies and startups, I started a small landscaping business out of the back of my dad's truck. I'd take her to job sites, and she'd sit in the passenger seat, legs crossed, reviewing campaign ideas for class while I measured yards and pitched stone types to clients. She called me blue-collar Picasso. I told her she was way too classy for me, and she'd just smirk and say, "That's why you need me around." It worked. For a long time, it did. I handled the practical stuff. She handled the networking and polishing. I even rebranded my company with her help. New logo, better pitch deck. Clients doubled. But her friends? They never really warmed up to me. Kayla and Tessa especially. They worked in PR too, always dressed like they were auditioning for reality TV. The first time I met them, Tessa looked me up and down and said, "So, you're the lawn guy?" Miranda laughed it off and said, "He owns the company." But I caught the look they shared, like she was joking, like I was a phase. Miranda said not to worry. "They're just protective," she told me once. "They've seen me get hurt before." But I wasn't like the other guys. I showed up. I worked hard. At least, I thought I did. About a year after graduation, Miranda landed a job at a high-end branding firm in the city. Her office was in a glass building. Mine was a garage full of soil samples. We still lived together in the townhouse we rented on the edge of town, close enough to her work, far enough for me to keep my equipment locked up without the HOA complaining. Things changed slowly at first. She started coming home later, wearing more designer stuff, nicer than her paycheck could justify if you asked me. She was proud of her hustle, and I respected that. But then came the little comments. One night, I showed up at a gallery event she invited me to. Button-down shirt, boots freshly cleaned. She took one look at me and said, "Couldn't find a blazer?" I laughed it off, but it stung. The old Miranda would have teased me, then kissed my cheek and told me I looked good anyway. Her friends were worse, Tessa especially. We were at a rooftop dinner, Kayla's birthday or something, and Tessa leaned in, swirling her wine like she was born in a vineyard. "Miranda, seriously, when are you going to upgrade? This man still drives a truck with dirt in the back." I waited for Miranda to defend me. She didn't. She just smiled politely and changed the subject. On the way home, I asked her, "You think she's right?" She hesitated. "It's not about right or wrong. It's just, they see things differently, that's all." I nodded. "And you?" She didn't answer. From then on, it was like I was being compared to some invisible checklist I never agreed to. Did I wear the right things? Was I going anywhere in life besides managing a crew of guys with calluses and sunburns? At night, she'd lie in bed scrolling Instagram, photos of luxury dinners, influencer vacations, guys in slim-fit suits holding glasses of scotch. I'd be next to her, covered in sweat and mulch from a 12-hour shift. We were in the same bed, but we weren't in the same world anymore. She dumped me on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were my longest work days, and I'd just come back from a 2-property install. Turf, mulch, some custom stone edging. My knees were killing me, and I still had receipts to scan. I walked through the door and found her sitting on the couch, hair done, makeup perfect, like she was headed somewhere but didn't want me to come along. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice low, almost rehearsed. I knew that tone. People don't use it unless they've already decided something. She didn't waste time. "Jacob, I think we need to take a break." I just stood there, still holding the invoice folder. "A break from what?" "From us." She sighed, like she'd been carrying it around for weeks. "We're on different paths." I didn't say anything. She pressed on. "You're building something real. I know that. But I'm evolving. I've changed." And that's a bad thing? I asked. No, she said, shaking her head. But I can't pretend we still fit the same way. My friends, they've helped me see things more clearly. She paused, then looked at me. They think you're not in my league. I stared at her. And do you? She looked away. I don't know. I nodded, slowly. So this isn't a conversation. It's a delivery. I'm sorry, she whispered. I just need space to figure out who I am. You want space, I repeated. Okay. I set the folder on the counter and walked upstairs, grabbed a duffel bag, filled it with enough clothes for the week, and left. I didn't ask questions. I didn't beg. I went to Gavins' place. He was my closest friend from trade school, ran his own flooring business out in East Ridge. We'd been through enough late-night installs and broken contracts to know when to shut up and offer a place to crash. He handed me a spare key, pointed at the guest room over his garage, and said, "Stay as long as you need." No judgment, no questions, just a real one. The next day, I opened Instagram out of habit. First photo on my feed, Miranda, hair down, standing next to Ryan Pierce, a finance influencer with fake deep captions and an expensive jawline. He had his arm around her waist like he'd owned it for months. I didn't feel angry, just stupid. She hadn't needed space. She needed a trade-in. I didn't hear from her for a while after that. No calls, no texts, not even a, "How are you holding up?" She'd vanished, just another polished face in someone else's social feed. I focused on the business, hired another crew lead, picked up a few commercial contracts. I told my guys I was streamlining operations, but really, I just needed to keep my hands busy so I wouldn't think about her. About a month in, Gavin knocked on the door to the garage room one night with 2 drinks in hand. He handed me one and leaned against the frame. He told me Miranda had caught Ryan at a hotel with some model. It wasn't even subtle. A few of her friends had apparently tried to warn her, but she ignored them. Thought she knew better. Thought she was trading up. Now she was keeping her distance, ducking out of the social spots she used to frequent. Even Kayla said she hadn't seen her in weeks. I didn't react when Gavin told me. Didn't smile. Just took it in. There was no satisfaction in watching someone's life unravel. But there was clarity. She hadn't just left me. She'd gambled everything for an image, and the house of cards collapsed right on schedule. But then, a week later, she texted me. "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a full minute. Part of me wanted to delete it. The other part was curious, so I agreed to meet. We sat across from each other at a quiet little diner. She wore sunglasses even though we were indoors, probably to hide the puffiness in her eyes. She didn't say much at first. Finally, she spoke. "I made a mistake." I didn't say anything. I thought, I don't know what I was thinking. I let other people tell me what I should want. And now I'm just empty. Still, I said nothing. "I should have defended you, trusted what we had." I nodded once, calm. "You didn't." She looked down. "I know." The silence between us felt like closure, not longing. "I'm not asking to get back together," she added quickly. "I just needed to say it." I leaned back in my chair. "You said it." She looked up like she was hoping I'd offer a lifeline. I didn't. After that conversation, I figured that was the end of it. I was wrong. The next week, she liked 3 of my old Instagram posts. A few days after that, the texts came. "Remember that little taco stand in Fulton? Drove past it today. I walked by that park we used to sit at after your job sites. It made me think of you." She wasn't saying it outright, but it was clear. She wanted back in. I didn't react, didn't ignore her either, just kept my tone polite, neutral. "Hope you're doing all right." She doubled down after that, started showing up at spots I frequented. One night, I was at my favorite bar with Gavin, and there she was, same red lipstick, nervous smile. "Didn't know you still came here," she said like it was an accident. Meanwhile, I was hearing things. One of my subcontractors, Reggie, told me he'd just finished a backyard job for a guy named Ryan Pierce. I didn't say anything at first, but then Reggie added something. Ryan told him he was done with some PR girl, called her emotionally clingy. That was Miranda. So she hadn't just dumped me for status, she'd gotten used. I won't lie, that part burned, not because I still loved her, but because I'd once believed she was better than that. Now she was crawling back, but not because she missed me. She missed what I represented, Stability, loyalty, safety, the life she thought she could do better than. So I waited, watched her build up her guilt, let her reach and reminisce, and talk about what we used to be. And when I was sure she'd cracked open the door herself, I made my move. I invited her to meet at the lake where we used to go when we were broke and figuring life out. She showed up in white sneakers and a denim jacket, same as the first night we kissed out there. She was trying to rewind time. I was calm, hands folded. She did most of the talking. "I've been thinking a lot about everything," she said, brushing hair from her face. "How I let the wrong people into my head. How I let you down." I nodded. Let her keep going. "I thought I wanted something flashier, but that wasn't real. You were." Silence. "I know I hurt you." "You did," I said evenly. She swallowed. "But maybe we could—" I stopped her there. "Before you say anything else, I want to show you something." I pulled out my phone and tapped a video. I'd gotten it from Reggie. He'd recorded it on the job, unintentionally. Just background chatter while Ryan Pierce bragged on speakerphone to some buddy. "Yeah, she was fun. PR chick. Kinda needy, though. Told her we'd do Cabo or something. I ghosted before the bags were packed." I didn't need to add commentary. I just let the audio play. Her face collapsed as the words sank in. When the clip ended, I locked my phone and looked at her. "You left me because your friends told you I wasn't enough," I said. "You traded loyalty for flash. This is what you got." Tears welled up, but she didn't speak. I could see it, all of it, crashing into her at once. The bad decision, the fake relationship, the cold ending. She reached for my hand. I didn't move. "You didn't lose me to your friends, Miranda," I said, standing up. "You gave me away." She stared up at me, speechless. I took one last look at her, the version of her who now knew exactly what she'd thrown away, and walked back to my truck without saying another word. It's been 9 months since that day by the lake. I haven't heard from Miranda since, and I don't expect to. After that moment, after she realized she'd been used by the guy she left me for, after hearing those words out loud, she vanished, quietly. No more texts, no more showing up by accident, just silence. Word travels, though. A mutual friend told me she left the agency a few weeks later, said she needed a fresh start. Apparently, she moved back in with her mom for a while. Ryan? He moved on to a fitness model. Kayla and Tessa don't really talk to her anymore. Funny how fast loyalty evaporates when clout dries up. As for me, I'm good. The business is booming. I landed a few big commercial contracts, added 2 more trucks to the fleet, and finally hired someone to handle the logistics. I'm no CEO in a glass tower, but I make my own schedule, call my own shots, and every day I see something I've built with my hands. That's enough. I also met someone. Her name's Lila. She's not from Miranda's world. She's a nurse who volunteers at an animal shelter on weekends. The first time she came to my shop, she asked about the mural we painted on the back wall. She didn't ask what I wanted to be someday. She just asked what I loved about what I already did. One morning I was trimming hedges outside a client's house, new construction out in the suburbs. I looked up and saw Miranda across the street, walking with a coffee in her hand. She was thinner, paler. She looked over, stopped mid-step. We locked eyes for a second. She gave a faint smile, half apology, half memory. I didn't smile back, just nodded once, then turned and kept trimming. Clean edges, sharp lines, like nothing had ever been messy. And that was it. No big scene, no need for words. That look said everything. She finally understood the difference between value and image. And me? I was never out of her league. She just didn't know how to stay in mine. Thank you for watching.